let me introduce Rod. Rod is the CTO of Earth Solutions. He's actually been at Earth Solutions. I always count like increments of 5 for him. I don't know why. So probably 30 years now. It was like 25 last year. Is it 30 now?
It's like, I don't know, 27 or 28.
27 years. The first trip I ever traveled on with Rod, we were on a plane, and he was like reading some, I think it was like a, what was before Maui?
Xamarin.
Yeah, Xamarin. He was reading a book about like Xamarin coding. I'm like, this guy is a nerd, right? But that's what you want as a CTO. So I've learned so much from Rod. I mean, it's it's amazing to work with him.
That totally contradicts what you said earlier.
I would never say that.
When you said you didn't learn anything from me.
I would never say it. Yeah, it did. Yeah, it did. So yeah, welcome Rod here. I'll see everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
So, raise your hands. He did the exact opposite question. How many of you did attend the user group last year? So quite a few of you. So you guys actually got to experience me falling off the stage last year, which is quite an awesome thing. For everyone that wasn't here last year and missed it, the stage is pretty close to the screen, so you got a shot at it. We'll see how it goes down. So over the past years, Brad had mentioned, we've done a lot of investment in our user experience, pretty much across the board, right? We've done a lot of UX work with Corsetra. We're in the process of a bunch of UX modernization with DigTix, as well as with our Utility web platform, and of course our mobile, which Matt touched on in the last session. And really, even the data analytics, if you look at it that way, the new reporting with Power BI, right? It's a major investment here that we've done to give you easier access to your data, and so you can get the data presented the way you want to see it. So it's pretty cool stuff, and hopefully you guys will reach out and get that turned on here shortly. So I'll start with Corsetra, our training platform. Again, we started early last year on the new UX for this application. Over that time period, we basically launched what we call My Training, which is a new learner experience for the end user. Shortly after that, we followed it up with a My Account profile page, as well as an achievement dashboard where learners can view certificates and certifications that they've earned. And we've also reimagined the quiz and survey experience. We've introduced a progress bar at the top. We provide feedback as they go through questions, informational steps as they go through it. There's multiple question types. You can ask the question in different ways. There's also the ability to skip questions. Sometimes you need to skip it and come back to it, and that's okay, because we also then give you the ability to review and go back to those questions. And then after you're done, you get an on-the-spot grade with the ability at the end then to review all the questions, kind of review what you've learned, what you missed. And then we've also provided a mobile version of that so that you can also take these quizzes on the mobile application as well. Then early this year, we launched the first version, and Matt touched on this briefly, of our new admin user interface for navigation and dashboards. It provides new searching and result capabilities, as well as dashboards for insights and quick statistics. Now, a lot of this Matt covered in last session. He kind of stole some of my thunder. He had talked about, I think a couple of people had asked about the in-application training. So I'm not going to go into this detail because I'm not going to steal all of this thunder, but you will see there's something called a My Credentials Go widget that will allow this all to be done right within the new user interface. But I'll let him touch on the rest of that tomorrow. So for the DigTix application, again, as I mentioned earlier, Matt covered some of that in terms of the new functionality with billing and other areas in this first session. But right now, the team is in the middle of a major design advancement. As part of this, they're going through a much more formal design process, which incorporates customer feedback sessions throughout the designs to get feedback on what can be done differently, whether the workflow works well or not. And it really, it prioritizes ease of use through consistency and accessibility. It works on any mobile device. It's mobile device is responsive, so it'll work on any form factor. It also will have an offline mode. So while it's a web application, it will have the ability to work offline. So if you happen to lose connectivity, it will continue to function. It will also pick up where you left off. So if you log off or go, get disconnected for some time period, when you come back, it'll be exactly where you were previously when you were in the application. Every ticket or item will have a direct sharing link. This will also make it much easier to communicate with others about an item that you may be working on or have questions on, so improve collaboration. And there's also real-time collaboration within the application as well. So if you're looking at a ticket and someone else is looking at a ticket, you can see that, right? That helps with communication. It also helps make sure people aren't doing duplicate work. And ultimately, it's faster. The new user interface is just faster than the old one. There's several new changes for the field. One is it's just got easier navigation. It's easier to find information via the intuitive searching, different visualizations of the data, as well as sorting. And you see those options down on the left. It's got time. Oh, sorry, I'm going to skip one. Time tracking for different types of activities, whether it be drive time or time actually on site. It's got the ability to bulk edit items, so if you're trying to close out multiple items at once, the field can now do that. Buildable activities, so the tech just has to worry about what they did, right? They just got to record the activities they did out in the field. The powerful building configuration that Matt showed earlier will take that information collected from the tech and figure out how the item should be built automatically. Plus, it also gives the tech ability to create their own routes and then adjust them throughout the day, based on urgency and priority. We're also introducing a new view. It's called My Work. It allows the users to efficiently basically execute their work for the current day, right? But they can also then adjust, as you can see down here, the Add to My Day. As situations happen throughout the day, such as emergency tickets, it allows them to change their work for the day. And also then there's intelligent recommendations that are presented to help them quickly figure out what work they need to be doing. For the office, there's new streamlined auditing, so it's just it's presented in a much easier format for understanding. They now have the ability to define or import geographical areas that can be used in multiple places throughout the application. For administrators, the bulk configuration will make it easier for configuring users, close codes, billing configurations in batch. And then they've also made it easier to see relevant information about an item to see whether or not the item needs to be dispatched. Currently, it's in company preview. So for Digtix users, they have the ability to toggle between the old and the new user interfaces. In November, we're going to be launching a beta version of the application that will give the field techs the ability to complete locate requests and incident investigations, with the goal of having a release in Q2 of 2024, which is the full field user release, and then with the exception of the My Work and the offline mode, which will come in Q4 of next year. So now for the updated Utilisphere user interface design. I'm going to walk you through most of the kind of the functionality around tickets at this point and work items and how those will work. We are in the progress of developing this now. If time allows and I can get everything to work properly up here, I can give you a brief demo of it, but again, it's very early on. I'll actually be demoing it off of our development site, so hopefully everything will go well if we have time. First is the new login screen with the new Irth branding. So it's no longer going to be branded as Utilisphere, it's going to be branded as Irth. And I got to thinking about that, and it's funny because the product was originally called EarthNet many, many years ago. And about 13 years ago, we relaunched it as the Utilisphere platform, and that's what it's been for 13 years now. And I still find myself catching myself calling it EarthNet to this even now, right? It's just it's ingrained from all those years. So the idea of me calling it Irth, I got to thinking it would be an absolute blast today if we had a drinking game where the rest of this presentation, whenever I said Utilisphere, everybody had to take a drink. But unfortunately, I couldn't get marketing to approve it. So it's still going to be fun, but not as fun. Once you log in, similar to what you kind of saw in the mobile application, we're going to have a new dashboard view. It's going to have the same sort of things that techs would want in terms of seeing items assigned to them, items in their folders or emergency tickets, weather information. If you're a company that uses our time tracking features, it'll give you the ability to check in and check out from here or log other types of activities besides just working on an individual work item or ticket. And then this message board down at the bottom is going to be used initially for just system messages that are coming from us, and also the banner message, right? But a lot of you take advantage of our banner message, so when somebody logs in, they immediately get the pop-up screen that shows them some information. We'll be introducing a team message board, right? Sometimes supervisors need to send messages to their team. So we'll be introducing a team message board where they can send a message out. That will show up on their team's dashboard here that they can drill in and get more information. The navigation is going to change. There'll be a little flyout on the left where you'll access the different areas of the application. So, today if you use work items and other apps within our application, right, everything's at the top. In this scenario, everything's kind of separated on the left in this flyout. If you want to go to the different apps and the different types of work items you work on, you click on tasks, and that will take you there. Once you're within tasks, and again, whether we call them tasks or not, that's kind of the terminology we've been using in the mobile application, so we're sticking with that here. All your different access to the different apps that you've created, different forms, are accessible through the menus at the top. So it just streamlines the navigation a little bit. And then likewise, for creating new work items, there's a create option on the left, and we provide searching capabilities, which will make this much easier to find if you've got a lot of them. And then you can also create them directly from the summary screens as well. So this is the new ticket summary. And I hate to disappoint you because I know so many of you probably love scrolling down to the bottom of your list all day long to get to your screens and filters. But we've moved those to the top now, so you don't have to do that anymore. So up in the top right, you'll see in the bar there where it says ticket name summary. That's kind of where, those are the things that control the view, right? The demo screen there is the screen drop down. We'll be introducing a map view, so you can basically click that and you will switch to a new view, very similar to what you saw on tablet, is my guess at this point. That you'll basically take these items in the summary, switch to the map view, you'll view them all on the map with the cards on the right, and be able to work tickets that way as well. Other things you'll notice is you'll see a little scroll bar down at the bottom, right? The nice thing with that now is that when you scroll, you don't lose your ticket number on the left. So, today, you scroll right, you're all like, oh yeah, that's the ticket I need, and then you got to scroll back left, and you just lost where you were, right? So this will make it easier for you to find what you're looking for, as well as scrolling up and down, same thing. We're going to fix those columns and everything up above so that you won't be losing. The other thing is we're changing the multi-select functionality a little bit here, right? So the way it is today, you select multiple items, and you got this drop down, and then you have to go find the action you want to perform, and it's kind of tedious, right? So the way we're going to do it now is once you select items on the left, you're going to see that bar that had the filtering and searching go away. So you can't select items and then do a search, or select items and then change your filter. What we do is we tell you exactly how many you have selected right there front and center, and then we give you the actions you're most likely to perform, which are to unassign or unassign a ticket, put a ticket in a folder, or respond to a ticket, right? Those are the three main things you're doing. Not that you don't do other things in there, add notes, things of that nature, and we may add an add notes button there, but typically you're not bulk adding notes, right? That's usually on an individual ticket. So we make it much easier to get the actions that you need without having to go through that drop down, search down to find the menu item, and then clicking it. The other benefit to this is, let's say, for example, you select 3, and I'm sure many of your people in the office have done this. You've selected a couple of items, you go to another page, you go to the details of an item, you forgot that you had items selected, and then you go to perform an action, right? Well, now there's no forgetting, because it's always going to be right up there at the top telling you there's 3 items selected. So it doesn't matter what page you're on, it doesn't matter if you just navigated away and come back, you're going to know that items are selected, and that if you didn't intend to do that, you need to cancel them out and select the actual items you wanted. So again, it will reduce steps and it'll also reduce mistakes. We've combined the unassigned and assigned actions as well as the put in folder and remove from folder actions. Just again, trying to streamline clicks, decisions, things of that nature. So when you click the assign, unassign, you're presented with a new screen. I'll go through the grouping here in a second. You're familiar with the grouping already, more than likely, but we've just changed how we presented it. But the big thing to note, a few big things to note is one is the assign to. So before we would have a little star by whatever auto recommendation was there, right? If you set up some sort of auto recommendation or auto processing rule or whatever it is, and we've designated like, hey, this is the one you should be assigning it to, we now actually put a little tag beside it that's suggested, because while a star is very, very clear what that means, we think suggested might be a little more meaningful, right? The other thing is you'll see two other nice buttons or links right beside it. Assign to me, right? Some companies, the way they operate is they'll put tickets into a folder and then they have a group of guys that will go in and go through the tickets and assign them to themselves. Well, that's a heck of a lot easier if they don't have to go find themselves in a drop-down and they can just hit a button that says assign to me and hit save, right? So that saves them a lot of time. And likewise, in that drop-down, there's going to be an unassigned option, or you just click the unassigned button and it will automatically select the unassigned option. And then you can save it. Now, the grouping is, when you're selecting multiple items from the ticket summary, right, and you have different registration codes or you have different folders that the ticket is in, that impacts who it can be assigned to, right? So we actually have to have different groupings so that we only give you the drop-down of users that group of tickets can actually be assigned to. In this case, in this example, there's 4 different groupings with probably 4 different folders. And what happens then is we'll present one to you at a time. So today you just scroll down. You'd have to scroll down through this huge dialogue of different sections. Now we make it very streamlined. So you have one screen for each group. You make your selection, and then you hit either save or next, or if you didn't intend to do anything with this one or want to skip it, then you just skip this group and go to the next one. But again, it's all about saving clicks. It's all about trying to make it very clear what actions you're taking to reduce mistakes. The other thing is in the drop-downs. So first you'll see first we group it by alphabetically. We no longer separate contract locators and locators in there. We do give them a different icon so that you can easily designate that this is a business rather than a person. You'll see right now these are just little colored circles with initials in them. The goal here is to build the ability for them to configure avatars, or more than likely for them to take their own pictures, right? So now instead of dealing with, it makes it much more identifiable when you're dealing with a face than a name. It just makes it quicker, for your team. But it also has searching capabilities. So for those of you that have, hundreds of locators or hundreds of personnel, it makes it really easy to find the person that you're trying to assign the ticket to. Move to folder, very similar functionality in terms of the suggestions, the groupings. You'll see the option here, just like we had the unassigned. There's the remove for folder option. You click that, it'll say no folder, you hit save and next, and it basically removes it from the folder. Again, just like the assignment, there's searching capabilities built in to make it easier to find what you're looking for. The quick search, very similar to before, right? You have your drop-down with your different options that you can perform the quick search. But what's slightly different is we take that top bar now and just basically focus on it being a search, right? You no longer have your filter option down there that's saying you're in the middle of a search. And so we want to make it very clear what you're doing right now. And then you can cancel the search from here or jump into an advanced or archive search if that's what you want to do. We've made it much easier to add criteria to your searches than we do today. So again, it's a usability thing. The other big thing, which I'm sure some of you have seen in the advanced search, that quite honestly is not the most intuitive design of how to save a search that I've seen, has been redesigned. So Now, after you've set up a search, if you want to save the search so that you can easily refer back to it later, there's just a Save As button at the top. You click that, and then you give it a name, and now that's now available within your dropdown. So if you load up your advanced search dialog and you want to jump to a search you've already saved, you just click the dropdown, select it. Once that list gets too long, we'll have a searching just like capabilities just like our other dropdowns. Similarly, just like the quick search, we changed that bar to basically let you know how many criteria you have selected, and then also the ability to cancel the search from there. But the filter option's gone while you're in the middle of a search. Screen selection. Again, I know everyone loves, because some of you have several screens, I know you like scrolling to find stuff. We now have introduced the ability for individuals to basically have favorite filters, right? So there's a little star there that you can check that says this is one I use frequently. And that will put it at the top of the list whenever you drop that down. So that will make it much easier to find what you're looking for. And then we also have search capabilities built in. And you're going to see very similar functionality with our filters. Now, with filters, we have customers that have literally hundreds of filters, right? That makes it very difficult to find what you're looking for when you have a drop-down with hundreds of items in it. This favorite functionality for them is going to be a major time savings, as well as the searching itself. Because there's some you probably just don't use that often, but when you do, you probably know the name of them. But then there's others you probably use multiple times a day, and that favoriting will save a bunch of time. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the setup screen and how it works now. But I want you to think, when you're thinking about this, I want you to just think about administrative screens within our application in general. Like, we're going to go through a whole UX design for our administration and how that's going to work. But a lot of it is probably going to flow somewhat similar to what this is, right? I'm sure today you love when you go in and I'm going to use users as an example, right? Because you have hundreds of users, right? And you go through and you get your list of users, and then you want to try to find the one you're looking for, and you're navigating around, and then you click it, and then you navigate to your details, and you're like, no, that wasn't the one I wanted. So then you go click it back, and it links you back to the summary screen again, and then you lost your place, and then you got to go find another one, and then you click it, and then you go into the details, and then you got to click something else to edit. Now that navigates you to an edit screen, and then you hit save, and then you go back, and then back to the summary. And when you have a bunch of users to do this with, it's a lot of time, right? It's probably fairly frustrating, I would say. So this new screen summary is kind of where we're heading with some of our designs around administration, and it solves many of these problems, right? Much less navigation, screens jumping around. It's all more done in line where you don't lose your place. So what you'll see here is on the left, your list of screens. And just like before, you can see the stars. So if you want to make them favorite from here, you can do that. When you click on a screen, all the information about that screen is going to be displayed on the right. You're not going to have to navigate somewhere else. It's just going to be right there. If that's not what you wanted a different one, then you didn't lose your spot. You just go check it. You just click it, right? So saves you quite a bit of effort there. And then editing, you'll see right up above. And this edit menu will obviously change depending upon what type of item that you're in the middle of doing. In this case, I'm talking about screens, right? But you can edit your columns, and you can edit your icon columns and your field columns. But one big difference we have today is you select what columns you want, and then you go to another screen where you go change the order, right? So I'm gonna pick the fields, and then I save it, and then I go back and I say change order, and then I go do it and I save it. Here it's all in one step. So on the left, I pick the fields, icon columns in this scenario that I want. You'll notice there's searching capabilities up above, just like we have on our list today, to find what you're looking for easily. Once I've selected the ones I want, as I do, they get added to the right. On the right-hand side, then there's the little bar handle there that you can drag it up and down to get it in the order you want it, and you hit save. So it's all done in one step. So there's not a bunch of back and forth, selecting fields, going back, reordering, all of that kind of thing. Filters, the screens, the actual fields themselves work the same way. But one of the big things here is when you're adding a new screen, for example, and again, this goes back to some of the administrative stuff, and I actually got feedback earlier today about some of the administrative stuff. It walks you through the steps when you're setting up a new screen. So you don't give it a name and then save it, and then go select icon columns and then save it, and then go select field columns and then save it, and then go back and change the order and then save it. It's all done in one screen. So you give it a name, save and next. You select your icon columns and order them, save and next. Select the field you want, save and next, and you're done. So it's going to streamline setting up things much easier. And we're going to take this approach across our application. Filter summary is going to work similar way. And again, one thing you notice there is on that screen, it was a pop-up for the edit. It wasn't taking you away from where you were. So you didn't lose where you were in the list of items that you might have been looking at or editing. Filter screen is very, very similar to that, right? List of filters on the left with your favorites, the ability to edit right there, the individual criteria right in line. So you just click the icon, it pops up to edit your filter criteria. So again, no more navigating around, having to go to another screen, make your changes, and go back. The attachment listing. So today, we have our attachment viewer, right? But you get this huge list of attachments on the left, and you can't really tell what anything is. And if you're trying to find a particular photo, you're clicking through them, trying to find which one you want and waiting for it to display on the left. This is a much more easy-to-use view. You get a thumbnail of everything. If there was notes added, that's provided here as well. You can get latitude and longitude of it, when it was added, who was added by. And then you have options on the right there for each individual item. You can download it. We pop it up, take over the full screen. Again, it's just a much more modern interface than what we do today with our existing pop-up. New details design. lot of good stuff here. First, you're going to see general information, right? So ticket text is what everybody, that's what everybody's used to seeing today. And you've seen in our mobile application, we have that more generalized view, right? Where every ticket is basically formatted the same. We break it down into different sections, excavator information, dig site information, that kind of thing. You'll see right beside the text, where it says general info, there's two buttons there. It says text, and I know it's a little hard to see out there, text and details. So you have the ability to toggle between those views depending upon what you prefer to use. And it will remember what you did as an individual last. So if you're one that you always like to use the details view, click details, and every time you come to the details, that's what you're going to see. If you prefer the text view, every time you come here, that's what you're going to see. Other improvements are obviously the non-compliant excavators displayed up front. So if there's something you flagged as a non-compliant excavator, it's going to display it, make it very visible, and you can view the details information about that. And then what we've also done is taken a lot of the other information that today you have to basically scroll through our application to find, right? You've got this huge list of this huge history. If you're using any sort of linkages, either from the ticket or external links, the related items, right? It's all just kind of in one big view, and you just got to kind of scroll through it all, right? So we've tried to make this much easier to get at the information that you need more efficiently. So on the left there, the first one is the links, and I'll cover some of these in more detail as we're going through here, but the links will provide those types of hyperlinks. You'll see notes, attachments, related items, risk score, but we make it so that you can jump to items very, very quickly is what the goal here is. We've also made significant changes around the map. It's more around visualization and ease of use. We've, obviously down today, we have all of our tools down at the bottom. We have zooming and stuff up above, and then we also have tools down below the zoom, right? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to have the same function in different areas of the application. So all the things that are related to navigation of the map have now been moved on the left, like zooming to the OC dig area or to the dig site or to the near street, whereas the actual lookup information and editing of the dig site is all done down below. So we've tried to streamline that interface and make it easier to use and understand, especially for new users. You will also see we haven't taken away the ability, because obviously for screeners and the dual monitors, down in the corners, there's still the ability to pop that map out. So if you want that on a second monitor, you can pop that out. We'll pop it into a second window, and you can drag it to your second monitor. So you can basically navigate through your tickets one at a time, and that map will update on your other monitor. Collapsible navigation. So if you don't want all of your screen being taken up with those tabs on the left, you can collapse it on the left and still get to the same navigation in terms of going to the individual areas. Actions. Again, we've tried to make these front and center. Even in the details today, right? You got to drop down, go find the action you're trying to perform. When you're at the details, again, most of the time you're assigning it, moving it to a folder, responding, adding a note. So we've just added buttons right there to make it much easier for the user to do, right? They can just click the button, go into the action, and complete their work. They don't have to go find it in the drop-down. For those of you that take advantage of quick actions, the response option will be a drop-down. So it won't be at the top of the actions menu anymore. It's going to be in the response drop-down. You'll see your quick actions first, with the bottom option being the respond option. If you don't use quick options, then the respond is just going to be a button, or I'm sorry, quick responses. It will just be a button. You'll click the button, you'll go right into the response screen. So for those of you that, we have two different little icons, right, for auto processing and recommendations. And I don't know how many of you are using those today. So we have one up at the top left that's kind of like when the ticket came in based on your auto processing configuration, this is what we recommended and or this is what we automatically applied. So if you, for example, are screening tickets and you're like, yes, I need to dispatch this, you can click that, it will come up, and you can just say, yes, I want to apply this, and it's safe. That's option one. Most people are probably just choosing the assign option, letting it do the suggestion, which I talked about earlier, and hitting save. And then we also have like a little light bulb icon down in the corner where if you've changed the dig site and you click it, it gives you recommendations based on the current dig site information that you have. So now what we've tried to do is combine these two into one screen. So on the left, you can see kind of a case where I haven't performed any actions yet, and so I can choose which action based on our recommendations I want to perform, add notes, and hit apply. Or if previous actions have already been taken, but there's new recommendations, it will show you what the previous applied action was, and it will also give you the ability to apply a new action to it. So it's, again, just trying to make it easier to perform the common actions that you need to. I kind of mentioned this earlier. We're going to have a standard alternative to the ticket text. It'll be grouped by category. Should make it much easier for individuals to find what they're looking for. But again, it's going to come down to personal preference, right? Many people have been looking at these ticket formats for years, and it's much easier for them to find something that way. Whereas if you're working in multiple states, it may be easier to actually have the standardized view. So it'll probably be a personal option. Links, again, we talked about the scrolling, and I'm going to go through several of these options on the left now. But today, you will no longer have to scroll down to find the links that you're looking for, right? So if there was links in the ticket, those will be available here. If you set up external links, those will be available here. So you can quickly jump to the links and get to where you need to go. We've introduced this new notes option. So, we have, our audits are, for lack of a better, they're very verbose, right? It has everything in it. It's got every action that was performed by a user. It's got everything that was done in terms of communication, from queuing to delivery attempts to pause response to the center, or to the excavator. It just gets to be very verbose. And for some centers, we actually have to respond and send every attachment back to the one call center. So when you think about all the normal audit and then you add in another 30 or 40 or sometimes 100 audits, right, it becomes very verbose. So with this notes feature, what it does is it basically lets you know there are notes that have been added, whether they've been done during assignment, during the folder placement, just a manual add of notes, during the response, but you can just jump right there. And you can sort it, newest to oldest. You can add notes from here. But the real benefit here is you don't have to wade through that audit anymore to see if there was any notes that were relevant to what you're trying to accomplish, right? It's just right here. You click notes. You more than likely put the newest at the top, and the information you need there is all right there. History, again, it's going to be a cleaner view in terms of how we display our history. And we also are going to introduce sorting. We don't have the sorting capabilities today. So odds are, we always go oldest to newest, right? That's probably not what most people want to see. They want to see newest to oldest. So we're going to make this configurable, so it's up to you how you want to do it. And then we're going to improve the filtering options for the audit so that you're truly only getting what you want, only seeing what you want to see. Related items, so and ticket versions. So we've separated out related items from ticket versions. They're two different things, right? Related items are, I've got other activities that are linked to this ticket. I've got a watch and protector standby, I've got a damage, whatever it might be. That's what a related item is. These are other things that are related to this ticket. So we've created this new display for that, giving you information about each of the items, along with the ability to navigate to them. You can also link to other activities from here. So if somebody created a damage and you need to link to it, or already manually created a standby for some reason and needed to link to it, you can do that here. Again, the attachment, what you saw earlier was from the summary screen. This is from the detail screen. So we've embedded it directly in the application to make it easy to find what you're looking for. And then versions. So today, we kind of in the audit give you this big section for each individual ticket that you can look through if that's what you want to do. Here we've separated these out. So when you come here, you can actually see the latest version of the ticket. If this is the latest version, it will say this is the latest version, but it will tell you basically if there's another version newer than this, it will say this is what the latest version is, so you can easily see it. And you can see the older versions all here. That makes it much easier because obviously these, a lot of tickets get updates, right? And sometimes multiple updates. So this makes it easier to identify, am I dealing with the most up-to-date? Am I not dealing with the most up-to-date? And it also gives you the ability from here, I don't know if you've seen this, and we don't have this in the details today, the ability to show difference between versions. So if you're at the newest and you want to look at the difference between it and the previous version, you can click that show differences between versions, and you can actually go in there and see that. How many of you guys use that functionality from the summary today? Okay. If you haven't used it, or you might want to check it out, or I think it's pretty cool, but I think it's beneficial, but not everybody might. We've made it easier. So today, the way our tickets, our related items work is, you click it, and as most of our applications, you navigate somewhere else, right? And then you got to go back. So instead of doing that, we've got this nice little flyout from the side where you're going to be able to get the information about the related item or the related ticket, whatever it might be. But we make it very convenient for you, and then that way you also don't lose your place. Quick action. So this one, I think everybody should love, right? I'm the newest version of a ticket. I've got related versions. I don't want to have to navigate to the related versions to perform an action. I know that this previous version right here can just be responded to because I've just either one or two things. I just marked the one I'm on, so let me go ahead and mark that one marked, or I could respond to it as, basically this ticket has been updated. But you don't have to navigate to it. You don't have to do anything else. Right here in that versioning section of the application, you'll be able to have this quick action to go perform it. Or if you need to just assign it, you could do that as well. Same and adjacent address. How many people out there are using this functionality? No one. How many of you are familiar what this is? Okay, so basically what this allows you to do is you can go in and configure, you have to turn this on. I think it's in the advanced options. Don't quote me, but I think it's in the advanced options. There's two different things. I can turn on same address. So basically what happens with those is anytime I get a ticket with the same address, it will give an indicator that I have another ticket at this same address, right? We give the indicator in the summary and in the details, right? The value of this is if I had a ticket at this address before, and I have another ticket at this address, and the previous one was cleared, I probably can't clear it, right? Or if the previous one was marked, I'm going to have to dispatch it. So it makes it much, or if there's a range of tickets, right? That's the adjacent address, right? You can configure parameters, say, link any tickets that are within 50 address numbers of this one, or 25 address numbers of this one. So that's what the same and adjacent addresses are. We separate them because they are different things, right? Same address means something different than adjacent. But here, just like the versioning, we have these quick actions. So as I talked about, if I've got a new ticket and I see a previous one that's the same address and it was closed, it was cleared, I might be able to just use that quick action, clear it, and go on to the next ticket. Again, saving time and money. This is going to be sometime mid-next year. We're a little ways off. Now, what I will tell you, and I did this with the mobile too, and you can hear how we're approaching all these rollouts, right? We are not going to just this is going to be you can toggle between the two interfaces for a good long while.
give yourself time to come up to speed, get trained, for you to, if you need to train your teams, build training materials, whatever it might be, right? So that then you will control, okay, I am now turning off the old interface for my company. Now, at some point, we obviously want to sunset the old user interface, right? We can't keep supporting that. As we add new features, we're not going to want to add them to the old application. That being said, you will have adequate time to come up to speed on it. Yeah. All right, I think I'm getting the hand. So I think I'm done.
You're not.